Welcome to the next episode of TechVets, the podcast. Tonight we're talking to Jim Perkins, who is currently training on the Capslock course. He's a veteran and he is here to tell us about his journey so far. Welcome, Jim.
Hi Meredith, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for jumping on this interview this evening. And it sounds like you've had a very busy day. Tell me what you've been up to today.
So today I'm on the Capslock course. I am 3/4 of the way through, so we've only got 4 weeks remaining on a 16-week course. Today was put aside to go and complete the ISO 27001 accredited practitioner exam, and we have covered a lot of the salient points throughout the course leading up to now. And now today we've actually gone and done the exam and passed it. So it's an externally accredited exam from the British Standards Institute, the BSI. And so that's a very big tick in the box.
That's fantastic news. And what percentage do you have to get to pass? Is there something you've got to hit?
Yeah, so it's 30 questions. You have an hour to do it. It's 2 minutes a question, and it's 70% pass mark.
Wowza. Did you feel under pressure or did you feel well prepared?
I felt a bit of both, actually. I felt as though I knew quite a lot of the stuff already. There's a 4-hour training, a video training system that BSI give you for that. So we did that this morning, took plenty of notes, and it's an open book exam as well, so that takes a lot of pressure off as well. But some of the questions are worded in a very interesting way. The vernacular they use is somewhat iffy, and you have to actually think about the question, what answer you want to give. And then you got pressure as well. You see the timer ticking down as you're going on, like, oh, hold on a minute. You're trying to work out 2 minutes per question on this one, so I can get ahead of the game. And then you hit one, you go, oh no, I've just lost 5 minutes to that one. I do. So, but overall, it was really good.
Good news. So when's your next exam? You mentioned that you're over halfway through the course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've got certificate of cloud security knowledge coming up soon, and then that'll be in the next 2 weeks. And then we have something called CISMP, Certificate of Information Security Management Principles. That's in the last week. And then there's CompTIA Security Plus, and that'll be getting done after the course in your own time. You have a year available to do it. But by being on the Capslock course, you get to have all 4 of those exams paid for you, and you get 2 attempts. And should you not pass the first 2, you have to pay for your 3rd attempt yourself.
That's brilliant. And is that through TechVets?
Yeah, so when I started looking at TechVets, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I got in touch with Colin and Rachel, and they were brilliant because they said, right, okay, well, this is the sort of thing you need to look into if you want to go down this avenue. My experience as an intelligence analyst, so trying to find the problem and trying to find the answer and digging, being quite investigatory is quite, it's sort of my forte really over the years. I really enjoy doing it. So that's why cyber really strongly appealed to me, that or threat intelligence. And someone said, have you looked at the Capslock course? I said, no idea with that. So it's boot camp. Oh, right, okay, 16 weeks, 5 hours a day, Monday to Friday. And you have to be able to attend and do the whole lot, and then you can get on it. I said, oh, okay, great. So I investigated. It was definitely the best one out of all the boot camps that I looked at. And it was highly regarded as well. So when I spoke to some people on LinkedIn, when I started looking for a new job, they thought of it quite highly from the cyber domain. They'd employed some people who had come off the course. I thought, okay, right, that sells it for me. And unfortunately, when I started looking into it, there weren't any more funded places. But through the Department for Education, there's actually a way to be able to go and do it. You've lived in the UK for 2 years, right to work in the United Kingdom, and you're going to take a job in the sector you're training for, the government will pay for the training for you.
That's brilliant.
How did you
find out about that?
I just did some web searches, that's all. I wasn't particularly looking for that directly, but I found it and I started investigating. I thought, oh, okay, hold on a minute. Well, I fit all those, and I got in touch with them and they said, of course you can. Yeah, don't worry about it at all. You definitely want to go into cyber. I'm like, yes. Yeah, you fit the bill then? Oh, fantastic, thank you. But there is now another funded course or funded places on one of the courses coming up through TechVets as well, because I saw that James was looking for people who would want to be willing to volunteer for it. And I was like, I've already put the word out to people that I know, so hopefully some people are going for it that way.
Yeah, that's just brilliant news. And when you finish the course, what does employment look like for you? Do you have a guaranteed job, or do you have to go back and look?
Right. Okay. So you don't have a guaranteed job. However, the interesting thing about the Capslock course is that they have a lot of career mentors. They actually have a specific team for doing that, and there's a whole syllabus as part of the overall course with regards to best way of writing a CV, how to highlight your skills, how to do interviewing techniques, salary negotiation, package negotiation, and then also other aspects of getting into the employment area and what the actual tech industry looks like, and how to sort of best highlight your skills and go forwards with that. So that was really helpful. I put myself out to a lot of recruiters, and I put my CV on a few CV libraries as well. But also, very thankfully, the job that I've been offered and subsequently accepted came up on the TechVets job board. So I was really grateful for that.
So where will you be starting, or where will you be working?
So it's a place called AMR Cybersecurity. I had a interview with the head of cyber, Martin. Must have been about 5 weeks ago now, and it's very interesting one. It only took half an hour, and there's only one interview as well. So it was meant to be 45 minutes. We were meant to have two, and we got cut short and did the interview as best we could within half an hour. And he said he'd get back in touch with me, and then later on that evening, he emailed me and said, "I'd really like to offer you a position." I thought, "Oh, fantastic! Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll have to think about it." And then the following Monday, went, "Okay, I'm in. Yeah, I'll have it." So yeah, that's
Wow,
it, really.
that's brilliant news. What was I mean, half an hour for an interview. What did you get asked?
What my experience was, what my background, why I wanted to get into cyber, what qualifications I have and would have. So my experience is mostly intelligence, imagery intelligence, management as well, training. So I was an instructor for a few years. I've also worked with people who have worked in cyber. I've been in charge of teams that run that sort of thing as well. So I've been on the periphery of cyber for quite a while, but all the intelligence analyst sort of stuff. And then having a developed vetting, so DV, helps seal the deal for that one, because the post was DV associated. So they were looking for someone who had either had or could get a DV. And yeah, I ticked all the boxes.
You must have been the unicorn they were looking for.
I know that wasn't my first interview there. I had about 10 interviews with different companies up to that point. So I hit the ground running, really, because some people on the course start interviews early, and some people wait until they've completed the course and then begin trying to move on from that. Because they're trying to balance, because of the hours, the course is actually really nicely condensed for people who have, lives going on, really. So children, families, other jobs, other commitments going on outside of it as well. So a lot of them have a lot going on in their life whilst they're on the course. They don't really have the capacity to be able to go on and look for jobs as well at the same time. So hence why people wait until the very end. I thought, well, I haven't got as many concerns as most people with that. So I thought I'll just go straight into it, both feet. Week 3, I started looking.
Oh my goodness. I mean, how did those interviews go? If you did 10 before you kind of got this one, were they positive experiences, learning experiences?
Definitely. So I know what I've had from interviews. I've had 3 job offers, and the rest I was politely declined. In all of them, though, I asked for feedback, and I got it, which is wonderful. And I've got to be very cognizant from the beginning of doing all this that I've been in the military since I was 19. I'm 36 now, nearly 37. So that's 17 years, nearly 18 done. It's the only job I've really had as an adult. Therefore, I am institutionalized in many respects. So I'm entering a brand new wide world of where everything's completely different in some respects, but there's a lot of transferable skills as well. So the advice on my CV writing, what I need to emphasize, interviewing techniques as well, how to come across, what sort of questions you want to ask at the end as well. Not just the standard one of how many days off do I get, what are my working hours. It's more of a case of what's the culture of the industry like, what's your 5-year plan really, and how are you going to make it happen. Have there been any major, you can look on LinkedIn as well and check you've had a lot of hires recently as well. So why are you hiring so many people all of a sudden? What's the growth factor going in there? Or have you had a lot of people leave? You know, read between the lines on that one. So it's about doing a little bit of research on them whilst they're doing research on you as well. And then as well, if they say no, then maybe you were a good fit for them. Maybe they weren't a good fit for you as well.
What kind of constructive feedback did you get? Because I think some people are quite scared to ask for that because you don't always want to know what the opinion is.
No, you don't, do you? No, I completely empathise with people who go down that road, because it can be quite raw, because you become, in many respects in the military, you get very comfortable in what you're doing and when you're doing it, and you become quite, I don't know, well regarded for being good at what you do with your skill set, and it's very niche in some respects. And then if anything changes and rocks the boat, you don't want to get out your comfort zone. You don't want to get out of that little bubble. It did feel a little bit daunting, but really overall, I'm trying to sell myself, and it feels different because you're always trying to play yourself down a lot, because you don't want to come across as being quite a bit necky or having a large ego. But you're not, though, really, because it's a business sort of transactional sort of approach, and you need to get the best that's for you and what that gives you. So therefore, you know, I've got a family to look after, and I need to do the best I can right now to get for them as well. So that was my reasoning. And thankfully, everyone that I asked for feedback gave it and was really open about it as well, you know. So they told me the good bits and the bits that I could work on as well. So such as trying to anticipate questions before you have them in an interview. So there's loads of advice out there. LinkedIn's a great treasure trove of it. There's plenty of people on TechVets as well. There's even a page on the Discord that tell you about interviewing techniques and questions that might be asked. Specific ones given the role that you're going to apply for as well. So if you're going for like security operations centers analyst, then you can look at some of the things that have been asked there and ways to change it. Methods of answer as well, like the STAR method, which is, what was the situation? What did you do about it? What was the impact overall? You know, so tell a little story really with your answers as best you can, and then practice. So I was quite lucky. I've got some friends who were quite willing to sit there and pretend to have interview questions for me and throw me a few curveballs in there, see how I did.
That's really good advice, I think, practicing with friends, because at least it's a safe environment then, and also you can have a bit of banter while you're doing it. So I think that's a really good tip. When how did you get to the point of, I know you've mentioned you worked in intelligence analysis previously. What was your role in the military?
So
what did your career look like?
That's perfectly fine. No, so I joined in 2005 at 19, and I was a chef unqualified, and I did that for 5 years. And after 2 years, I realised I really didn't like it. The thing that was holding me back is that I was somewhat disenfranchised and lazy at school, so I didn't have a maths GCSE. Promptly went and sorted that out whilst I was serving. And then I heard there was an opening for intelligence analyst. I was like, okay, so I applied for it, went and completed the phase 2, and then went and focused on imagery. I did that for a few years in Norfolk, Marham. Moving on from there, I went and did some work with radar, providing J2 to them, so being their intelligence analyst and briefing them about upcoming threats and things like, you know, what was going on in the world. And following that, what did I do? I went to be an instructor for 2.5 years, teaching phase 2. That was a lot of fun, very interesting. A lot of work, a lot of long hours, but yeah, very interesting. And then moving on to there, I went to work on Reaper for a couple of years. And then whilst I was there, I genuinely enjoyed it so much. I thought, I really want to stay here. When you know, in that square peg, square hole moment, you're like, yeah, I definitely want to stay here for as long as I can. So I applied for my commission, and I applied for pilot or weapon systems officer. And they selected me for pilot. So I passed pilot. Okay. Went on the training course. Well, went to Cranwell first, completed it, got my commission, then went on to flying training. Followed through on that, and I got to about 2/3 the conversion training on type, and then I hit my capacity. I just couldn't complete anymore, and it was just very, very difficult for me to progress any further. So if I'd been given more time on the course, maybe I would have done better, but that's it. You know, them's the breaks, and I completely hold my hand up in that. it just wasn't for me. So I got withdrawn off the course, and then I returned back to the UK, and then I worked as an intelligence officer for a few months. And now I'm at the point where I'm looking forward to the future. Go, right, I've had a really great opportunity the last few years, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I've done it. But at the same time, trying to look at it holistically and go, right, what's the best choice for me? And I'm like, right, cybersecurity. I was like, that's something I'm really genuinely interested and excited about doing. So that's what I'm pressing forwards for now.
Brilliant. What brought you into TechVets? How long was the transition for you? Did you sign off knowing that you wanted to go into cybersecurity, or did you sign off without a plan and then discover cybersecurity?
Bit of both in a way. Yeah. So I'm in my final few months now, and I kind of semi-made the decision before Christmas. And following Christmas, like 2022, moving to 2023, that kind of sealed it for me. And then I've got the place on Capslock, and I was like, right, I'm in now. Let's go for it. So that was about it, really. So I was kind of half there and half not in the respect. And then something came up and an opportunity presented itself. I was like, okay, yeah, I want to go for it now. And it wasn't just a knee jerk. It was quite a well-reasoned one. I had a few months to think about it. And I got quite a bit of perspective from it as well. So it was a difficult decision. And I can see why a lot of people are reticent to sign off, because you are very comfortable in the military. You know, you've got a regular wage, you've got a lot of things looked after for you. You lose your choice of moving around by moving around a lot. So you don't really necessarily get to choose where you live. But if you like the job, then it suits you. Why not? But I've got a family. I've been with my wife for 15 years now. And out of that, we spent half of our marriage apart. So I'm like, right, I've had my few years doing the commissioning thing. Didn't really work out as well as I wanted it to. I'm like, right, you know what? I want to go do something else now. And then I can stay at home and I'll be the mister, and she'll continue with her career. And I'll have my own career.
How did she feel about you making the decision to sign off? Because I guess it's quite a daunting step to take when it's just yourself making the decision. But I think for a forces partner who it's very much their life as well, how did she respond when you said you might think about leaving?
She just listened, really. That was the first thing. She just listened. And why? What's going to make you happy? Will this be it? Will this be what will do it for you? And we had quite a few. It wasn't just one discussion. It was a few over the course of a couple of weeks. And we both came to an agreement that it's probably the best one to go for. But essentially, she just wants me to be happy in what I do, because then if I'm happy, then by extension, she and the rest of our family are happy as well. And same goes as well for, my wife is currently happy with what she's doing. However, she knows in 5 years that might well change. So then she'll look at moving on and changing stuff as well.
Maybe she could retrain as well in cybersecurity through TechVets and join you.
I don't know. She's very hell-bent on being a forensic analyst. She very much really enjoys the murder mysteries and like watching forensic pathology programs. So she's really interested in that as well. So I wouldn't take that dream away from her, and nor should I either. She's going to be happy. That's the main thing.
Well, you don't know. Forensics in cyber is a huge growth area.
I know, yeah, maybe, give it a couple of years, see if she sees something that I'm doing, she finds it interesting. Maybe not. I don't know.
Have you ever had the fear since signing off or regret of thinking, oh my God, what am I getting into? Or do you feel pretty kind of okay with the future?
I think maybe once a week I'll have that feeling. Once a week, I'll be doing something innocuous, like making a coffee or washing the dishes, something like that, or walking the dog, and I'm like, oh, hold on a minute, what if it doesn't work? What happens? Oh, and it's difficult to not spiral when you're doing that thing, because a negative thought likes to grow legs. I found it likes to keep going further and further. So I like to just see it through to its full extension and go, right, okay, well, what would happen if this were to go pear-shaped? What if the worst did happen? And then come up with some contingencies for yourself, really. I know it's very different to what the vast majority of people do. I mean, I've heard of people who were chefs who are dancers, not the military obviously, but people who've worked with all sorts of different backgrounds who've gone into cybersecurity and actually made it very good for themselves. Like, okay, well, it's just more of a mindset, not a background really. So you could have, I've known infanteers who've gone into cyber as well and been really successful. Drivers, even people like myself, who are trying to be pilots or other sort of avenues as well. So it can be done. And doing a boot camp was really helpful because I'm surrounded with other people who are changing careers as well. So we're all reaffirming each other in that respect. If I was doing it completely on my own and just going to get the courses through CCP, for example, on my resettlement, I would be concerned because then I wouldn't know as much about the industry as I do now, thanks to the tutors and other people I've spoken to. So definitely, it's very understandable why people are feeling reticent to do it. I would say investigate as much as you can before you start. Talk to people by all means. The TechVets community was great because there's loads of people on there. I could just directly message them on Discord, ask them just any old question. They're quite happy to give me a straight answer, which is wonderful. And there's just so much choice out there as well. You don't really have to be really super technically minded, I've found so far. You just be able to have to think logically and be persistent really. That's the main thing.
Have you got many friends who are still serving, who you're still in touch with? And when you talk to them, how do they respond to your new journey or new career?
So I've got still got quite a few friends I'm talking to regularly, and they're all quite supportive really. They're all it's like a bit it's a bit of a shame you're leaving, it'd be really nice to keep you in and like do this. They're like, yeah, it would, but you can't spend all your time together and you're not guaranteed to see people. You spend long periods of time not seeing your friends and then you'll bump into each other at a random point in the future. And they're all, there's always that little bit concerned when people sort of go, oh, I'm going to leave. You think, oh, you're just leaving is a bit of a knee jerk, or you just had enough, something like that. It's like, no, actually, I'm leaving because I found something I really want to do. I'm like, oh, great. That's wonderful. What do you talk about it? And then a few of them gone, you know what? I've always thought about doing that as well. So, well, it's timing as well. It works very well for me in my life right now. There's plenty of people that have lots of commitments that they want to hold on to, such as mortgages, people that need to pay for and support. And I'm in a very comfortable position where I can move sideways in this respect right now. So, yeah, it's overall been very supportive.
Do you think you've poached anyone over to cybersecurity, or do you think they're waiting to use you as a guinea pig and see how you get on?
I don't think I've necessarily poached anyone over right now. There's a few people who have definitely shown a lot of interest, and they said they've always considered it. There's a few guys I know who completed the distance learning course, the cybersecurity degree with Staffs Uni. That was getting offered for people who worked in intelligence and worked in cyber and within the military. And they've said, oh, you know what, I'm actually thinking about going and doing it, like leaving and doing it full time. I go, yeah, absolutely. So I've had people asking me all sorts of questions. And like, I'm far from an expert, mate. I've only been doing it for a few months.
That's brilliant, though. But I mean, I think, being able to share that knowledge, whatever stage of the journey you're at, is so important because, hopefully in a year, 2 years, you can jump on Discord and be that voice of authority for other people like you who are coming through the system.
Yeah, definitely. It's I always remember when I was an instructor, I always remember what it felt like when I was in the trainee shoes, because you can never know for certain because you're not a mind reader and everyone's situation is very different. But I remember how daunting it was because I knew absolutely nothing about the military whatsoever. I was essentially a nervous wreck for the first year after I joined up because I just didn't know what was up or down or anything like that. I just tried my best to try and keep up with everyone else. And it's just nice to have someone who's in a position that knows a bit more than you, who's in where you want to be a few years further down the line, who's quite content just to give you a hand and give you a talk to, answer your questions, or just listen to your whinge sometimes.
Did you find with any of the interviews that you went for, there was ex-service people interviewing you?
Yeah, I've had two. One was with Crest, which is a exam governing body. And the gentleman who interviewed me was ex-Navy warfare officer. And then I went with another one, I'm afraid it was ex-Blue actually. And the gentleman there was ex-Yeomanry of Signals.
How did you find employers responded to you as a veteran? Did you feel like they were interested, or did that not really come into the interview process?
We discussed what I'd done previously, what my background was, and I tried to put it into a more civilian set of vocabulary. And I explained from the outset, you know, I'm ex-forces and I've done stuff over the years, and tried to explain it and put it into a way that they hopefully would understand better, because there's a lot of jargon in what we do. Yeah, most of them were interested actually. They wanted to know a little bit more about it, and just it was the takeaway and the transferable stuff. So, you know, what size team were you in charge of? What was the outcome of this? Can you quantify that? Can you put a percentage or a number on that for me, please? Like, yeah, okay, no problem whatsoever. And like, yeah, that was it. And what impact did you have? So that was really that was the struggling bit, but overall it was really nice, really positive.
Do you feel like it might have, your military experience gave you an edge over your kind of purely civilian counterparts?
I think you're exposed to a lot of things just by the sheer point of being in the military that a lot of people aren't. So you've already taken the opportunity and moved away from home. You've joined an industry that most people will never, ever enter. It's almost like shrouded in a bit of military and that mystery. And then when you do actually get in, it's like, oh, it's not that different really, is it, in the grand scheme? Oh, I get this, yeah. You learn to cope for yourself. You learn to look after yourself. Timekeeping, work ethic is definitely there. Understanding what your role is, all these skills, and you just take for granted because everyone else around you does them. And I'm not saying that the civilian workplace is much different, but I'll say that it's definitely appreciated the work ethic, the team effort, just the mindset of wanting to get the task completed. Because a lot of the time in the interviews, I said, if I move you from one project to another, will that bother you? I'm like, no, of course it won't. Why would it? That'd be great. I get to learn more about stuff. Oh, right, that's good, because some people get a little bit difficult about that. I was like, oh, okay. I've never really had a choice. So
that's brilliant. So just going back to the retraining, and I'll let you go because I know you've got more studying to do for your next exam.
okay, thank you.
But what would be your top tip for someone who's leaving the military, knows they want to go into cybersecurity, but is faced with the plethora of options within cybersecurity to go down? What would you say to them when they were looking to find their niche or where to start?
Yes. First thing, find out. That is definitely the first one. And you can find out from several different places. So I already mentioned you can go on TechVets and talk to people that are there already. There's plenty of different rooms and different channels that you can look into. And some of them will be daunting. You're like, what the hell is red teaming? What's pen testing? I don't know what GRC means. Go and investigate and find out. That's it. It will take you a few hours of Google searching to get everything that you need. And then another one is practical applications. So there's plenty of different places you can go and learn about things and actually get your hands in there and start doing things such as packet sniffing and whatnot, which is a term you use for when you're looking on networks. I would recommend, so TechVets do immersive labs. You can go and use them. They're good. Cyber are very good as well. Those are the two main ones I use, but there's also Hack the Box. That's free. And then Try Hack Me. That's another free site as well. And just go in there and do the labs. And it's, imagine the online training that you did with work in the military, but better, much, much better. It's like gamified. So there's point system and leaderboards if you want. And there's lots of tricky little bits in there to learn from, but you will learn quite a lot. Take copious notes as well, because everything you learn, you will have it there, but there's too much to learn and be able to retain straight away. So copious notes, you refer back to them all the time, and everything I've found so far I've learned about is from Google and different labs and people I've spoken to. So that's it. Just building a good network, have a look around, see what you want and investigate it, and then start having a go at doing some things and seeing what fits and what doesn't, because it's all well and good thinking pen testing sounds great. Oh, I really want to go that, try and be a proper hacker. And then 2 labs in, you go, I really don't enjoy this. It's like, you really don't want to hang your hat on that for a career. You want to have a bit of a try around, and you're in a great position because you can try everything if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think that's some really good advice for our listeners. And for anyone who's been inspired by listening to you, are you happy for them to reach out on TechVets Discord just to tap you up for information and insights?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course. No problem at all.
And what I'd also like to ask you is that in 3 or 6 months' time, when you've got your feet under the desk of your new job, it would be great to talk to you and do another interview just about the reality of finishing the Capslock course and putting it into practice for real.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm more than happy to.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll let you go and hit the books. I'll start revising again. But thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Meredith.
And for any listeners who want to find out more about cybersecurity and tech training with TechVets, just head to www.techvets.co and you can register to join there. Thank you for listening.